Okay, by my watch, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Pat, do you want to do the roll call?
Ms. Anderson? Here. Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Floral?
Here.
Mr. Hardeman?
Here.
Mr. Horn?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Starr?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, there are 7 board members present, therefore we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. If you'll all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes for the prior board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I see we have a few guests here, and Mayor Foster, you're up in front, and Joe and Colleen, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. A couple of quick bullets about the county that are going on right now. Unfortunately, we are about to begin a new search for another new finance director. The new one that took the job has actually resigned. So we will be having a financial management committee meeting next week to hopefully figure out where we will go from there. Courthouse repair team, we're finally getting some movement on that. It is mobilized. They're on site. They're doing the prep work to get ready to come in and do the repairs. The archives building just across the way from it there is, the old portion is torn down. Pad is about done, so they're about to start rebuilding. So it's exciting to see all these projects finally underway. Last thing, a brief update on our codes department. It's fully operational. I believe we've had somewhere around 30 permits issued, which is a lot. We're outpacing Putnam County in that, is my understanding. Several of those were from Flat Rock, and we've also had several in this area as well, but permits are strong. If anybody has a question.
Nico Sergio, I'm community club member since April of 2005. 2 questions. Could you give us a brief rundown? Ellie and I went in and voted early voting on Tuesday. So could you kind of announce that again? And the second is, last month you talked about Flat Rock, and I can't afford the membership, but could you give us some information on the expected tax revenue, either today or next month, on what Flat Rock is going to generate for us? Thank you.
Early voting, like I said, is underway. I don't know the numbers, and I can't remember the end date of it. It's another week or so, I think, on early voting. They said it's been a little slow, but it's locked out a lot, and it usually picks up. So if you want to early vote, now is the time to go, and it's in the new location. We've been there for an election cycle or so, so hopefully people are familiar with that. As to Flat Rock, it depends. Their plans are a bit fluid. They're still determining the amount of paddocks versus quadplexes versus lodge and all that they build. The property tax revenue should be significant. Keep in mind, though, that was an industrial park, a tri-county industrial park with Cumberland, Morgan, and Roane counties. So through, I believe it's the 2028 year, the county has to share 3 ways property taxes with that, because all 3 counties bought it and all that. So there was a base amount, I want to say somewhere around $4,500 of the year that it was purchased. Anytime we're over that amount, the county has to split it 3 ways. We're still in the split, but so that will, honestly, about the time it's really built out and going strong, that split will go away, but it should be significant and a great asset. I can't afford a membership either, but there are, it's part membership and it's also part commercial. So there will be track days for the, Corvette, Porsche clubs, all those types of things, and some races, and the amphitheater with concerts, things like that. Anybody else? Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. So I'm here.
I'd rather face you,
Just
but.
be nice to me.
Well, I'm going to try. I wish I could take it in and look at you as I'm speaking. So.
Is it that bad?
No, but yesterday, at the workshop meeting, we had a number of members that were quite emotional about a fee that they had to pay for sewer extensions and so forth. And what I learned as that presentation was going on is we have 44 Fairfield Glade lots in that sewer extension area that we are paying those fees as the community. I'm assuming they're going to be added to the cost, and then we'll sell the lots. But also what I learned is there are 2 county lots. And it was mentioned that we were not billing the availability fees to the county because we didn't have a mechanism, I think is what I heard. So what I'm wondering here is, in the event, for fairness, I think the county ought to pay. You can get your money back when you sell them. So would you endorse, we'll figure out the mechanism to send you a bill. Would you endorse paying those fees now and ongoing?
No, I would not endorse it, paying those fees. We've got an agreement with the Fairfield Board, and on that, the county doesn't use those. If you want to buy them, I'll sell them to you cheap. The problem is we can't sell the lots in Fairfield. We just struggle. This might make it easier, but we can't sell them. And when they are sold, that's a different story. But I would say at this point, no. Anyone else? Sure.
Mayor, you're right now adding fees to these lots before you sell them, and you're going to recoup those fees when you do sell them. I understand, you're saying you can. We're enhancing the value by running sewer. You can take those funds, add them to the lot so that when this value and this demand is there for the lots to be sold, you can recoup your money. And I just followed up by reminding you that those 4 Fairfield Glade lots, we're paying taxes on them, okay? Year 2, you're not paying dues on them.
You're probably paying $15 a year on those lots in taxes, is my guess, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's very, very low. The county does not make money on these lots. We do not add fees other than actual charges. And the advertising fee, you could buy a lot for a few $100s out here. The fact is, we're losing huge money on the lots in Fairfield Glade already. We're hemorrhaging cash from it. We've had to pay for title searches for every lot, and that's going to be $150, somewhere in there. So we own around 1,000 lots, yeah, that we can't sell. So this is not a net win for the county. It is a neutral. It's actually a loss for the county on the financial side of that. We're not making any great money off of these. People don't want these lots, generally speaking, that we have. We've sold very few of them, and every one of them has the sunk cost of the huge process that the clerk and master has to go through. We really don't even come close to recouping the time for just the personnel for what you have to go through to get a lot on the list. And like I said, every single one of them has a title search done on them. And that is something the county writes a check for and pays for up front. And then with the Fairfield ones, we're just holding them. So would love to sell you a bunch of those lots if anybody wants them, but they are not a moneymaker for the county, and we do not add any fees other than costs to it. So Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Okay. Joe or Colleen, do you have anything?
Not this morning.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll start with the across the board here, as soon as I figure out where I put it again. There we go. All right. General Manager, Interim Director of Finance, and Director of Finance search updates. GSI presented 7 candidates to the Board of Directors for the GM position. The board reviewed all 7 candidates and selected 4 for a Zoom call interview. Those Zoom call interviews were conducted the week of February 5th, and the board selected 2 finalist candidates to bring to Fairfield Glade between February 23rd and 26th. Those dates are now firm. We're doing one on Friday and one on Monday. After those interviews are completed, the board will select the final candidate and begin contract negotiations. We believe we are still on track to have a GM here on property by the end of April. Jonathan Goodman, our Interim Director of Finance, who's here. Stand up, Jonathan, so they can all see you. There you go. All right. Is here today and has been actively engaged in the day-to-day operations of the finance and member records departments, as well as the post office. The board is contracted with GSI Executive Search to help us recruit the next Director of Finance for Fairfield Glade. Scott McNett, the senior principal assigned to our GM search, is leading that search as well. Initial time estimates would have us filling the position in the June-July timeframe. We will continue to provide updates as we move through the candidate search and selection processes. As we shared with you in our last across the board, the process of updating the specific yearly needs for the funding and execution schedule, as well as the responsibilities and processes for withdrawing funds from the reserve, have been presented to the board in an initial review for anticipated presentation to the community once concluded. We are mindful that this initial review is just the beginning, and because the funding needs, execution schedule, and budgeted forecast presently extends over several years and over several anticipated projects: Druid Clubhouse, Emergency Services Complex, additional pickleball courts, Robin Hood Park, to name a few, will have a considerable number of details to work through. In addition, this review process will occur at regular intervals and must be updated on a regular basis. As you can see, this is not an effort that can be concluded quickly and without due diligence. We appreciate the community's patience and with this very first and most critical effort taking us forward. We will continue to provide updates on this matter as we have solid information to share. Members who would like to share comments regarding the facilities reserve can reach out by sending email messages to Bruce Horn at treasurer@fairfieldglade.cc. Strategic planning update. PCA and the Strategic Planning Committee have met with the Board of Directors on February 1st, 2024 to review the updated strategic plan documents. The group is incorporating the board feedback into the town hall presentations, executive summary, and overall plan. In addition, the team has worked with PCA on a plan to transition responsibilities from PCA to the Strategic Planning Committee. Through the process of conducting stakeholder interviews, focus groups, and the Strategic Planning Survey, PCA and the SPC collected a tremendous amount of information. All who participated shared views on both long-term and short-term opportunities. PCA, the SPC, and the board want to ensure we leverage both short-term and long-term suggestions into our strategic plan, as well as operational plans. As such, the SPC is working how to best present both short and long-term plans. Members who would like to share comments regarding the strategic planning initiative can reach out by sending email messages to the team at strategicplanning@fairfieldglade.cc. Information concerning the strategic planning team is also available on the community club site at www.fairfieldglade.cc. The annual food and beverage survey. The annual resident food and beverage survey results have been received with 1,222 total respondents. The results are being reviewed and analyzed. Once the analysis is complete, the results will be reviewed with the board and then will be made available to our members. Director of Food and Beverage update. Bobby Jones Link's search for a new director of food and beverage continues with reviews on both internal and external candidates.
with one Bobby Jones Links internal candidate visiting Fairfield Glade Community Club last week. Their goal is to have someone placed in the position by the end of February, and in the meantime, staff representatives from their corporate office will be on site weekly to ensure continuity of service to our members and guests. In an additional note, Bobby Jones Links will have members of their training team staff on site this month to conduct hospitality training in preparation for the upcoming season. Druid Hills Project. The putting course and driving range work continues to progress as weather permits. The irrigation system has been completed and work continues on the volcano greens on the range. This month, the grass lines for the driving range will be set. Then sod will be laid on the hitting area and continued on to the range floor. The hitting mat installation was also completed. The Golf Performance Center contract has been signed with construction scheduled to start on March 4th, weather permitting. Construction will take about 220 days per the contract. The Druid Hill Steering Committee continues to work with architect Vic Jones on the clubhouse and site work design. The preliminary design was reviewed with the board on February 14th. Work will continue to refine the design following the board's feedback with the goal of being prepared to present the design concepts to the members in a town hall late in March or early April. Members who would like to share additional comments regarding the Druid Hills project can reach out to the Druid Hills Steering Committee and subcommittees by sending email messages to the committee at druidhillsprojects@fairfieldglade.cc. Members can also see updates on the homepage of the member website under major projects. Emergency Services Complex update. AEI of Cookeville was approved in January to conduct the architectural design and engineering work for the Emergency Services Complex project. We have conducted an initial meeting with the AEI architects that included a visit to the proposed site and a review of the preliminary draft floor plan and requirements. The proposed site has been surveyed, and we expect the survey report, including a topographical surveys report, in early March. In the meantime, AEI will develop options for the orientation of the new ESC on the proposed site. Once the orientations have been determined, we will conduct soil borings to determine the feasibility of construction on the proposed site. Detailed architectural and engineering drawings are also expected to take about 90 to 120 days. Wildwood Stables update. 25 members applied to serve on the Wildwood Stables Planning Committee. Interviews with all applicants were conducted during the week of February 12th. The majority of applicants have direct experience with the equestrian activities. 9 members were, as a reminder, 9 members were selected to serve on that committee, and as a reminder, the purpose of the committee is to research and present recommendations to the board for the future of Wildwood Stables starting in 2025. That is our February update from across the board. Okay.
Question?
Yep.
Nico Sergio again. You mentioned the facility reserve fund. I have in my notes from previous meetings that the full survey was going to be released around February 15th. I haven't seen it, but maybe I missed a memo from Pat Davis. Do you know when that 250-page report will be released for?
Well, I'll tell you, what the issue is, and I'm just going to be real transparent with you, Nico. Mm-hmm. When we got the study, we thought it was going to be all capital. It's not. There's O&M pieces in there. So what we have to do is go through all 650 projects that are included in that report, sort out first which are going to be O&M and which are going to be capital, and then plan those for the years that they need to be done. We're going to have a focus, or we're not going to have, we have a focus on really the first 2 years of that, and even a narrow focus on the first 2 quarters of this year of what we're actually going to do. That's still in the works. It's not an easy report to go through with that amount of detail and having to figure out where things are going to be. So it's taking a little bit longer than we anticipated, and there's no sense in putting out a report that we know is not correct from the start. We have to move some projects around. We have to take a look at how they're going to have to be funded, and all that stuff that's being worked on with the finance department and then even eventually the board. So that's really where we are.
Is any of this information confidential that community club members can't see?
Well, here's the reason why we're not releasing it, because we know that it's not correct, okay? If I gave you that report today, you'd say, well, why are you doing that in 2025? The fact of the matter is, we don't know that we're doing it in 2025 yet. So until we know the report is something that we're going to take action on, anything we show you is even worse than a draft, okay? Now, that doesn't mean the report was flawed or the person doing the report didn't do the right things. What it really truly means is that we have to go through that level of detail, get it sorted out, present it to the board, and then we need to present it to the community. Okay?
As long as I'm up here, I wanted to send an email to our finance director, John, I forgot his last name.
Goodman.
Can you put him on the website under the SMT? His picture's not there, phone and email and phone
we can
contact.
do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the across the board or the president's report? If not, Bruce, treasurer's report. You're not supposed to say what?
Good morning. The Treasurer's report. We started this year in strong shape, just like we ended the year. I'm going to read the numbers. As if you listen to NPR, the market report, we're going to do the numbers. So I'll go through each of these for you. In sewer, we have $4,113,464 total cash, compared to $4,697,068 in January, which is a negative variance of $583,604. For the Property Owners Association, POA and amenities, we have $4,557,780 of capital cash, plus $8,241,972 of operating cash, for a total of $12,799,752 POA and amenities cash, compared to $10,433,080 in January of 2003, which is a positive variance of $2,366,672. Now, some activities that were going on. The sewer ended the month of January 2024 with a net surplus of $45,894 with a variance to budget of $451. And that revenue was unfavorable to budget by $18,438, which was mainly based on a lower than projected income from the tap fees. The negative variance was offset by savings in payroll of $5,390 and utilities of $19,045. The POA net operating operations was a positive $43,498 to a budgeted surplus of $39,595, which resulted in a surplus to budget of $3,903. To note in this is that there was an overage in recruiting expenses in the amount of $24,300, which was offset by the $42,000 savings in payroll due to the ongoing variances. And there was just two different line items. It didn't put the interim GM and the interim director of finance on the payroll. It's an expense. So it's just an offset. So we still have those openings, but they would have shown up in payroll instead of in expenses. There was additional savings in repairs and maintenance of $23,000 last month. Amenities had a positive variance to budget of $40,311, with a net loss of $432,376 compared to a budgeted net loss of $472,687, with a decrease in restaurant sales due to unseasonably cold and required closings due to hazardous conditions. Now, this was offset by savings of $30,000 for the same reasons. So, people don't show up, we can don't have to turn on the lights and don't have to heat it. So utilities go down. So that it's, the revenue is down and the expenses are down. It's one of the interesting pieces about living down here. Where I come from, where you have one winter. It lasts 5 months, but it's one. Here, if you're a native and you've been here a while, there's something like 5 winters. I think we've gone through 3, so we still have a couple of more. So we'll see another snow probably next month. But just keep that in mind when I read this next month to you. Overall, the POA and amenities has a positive variance to budget of $44,214 with a net loss of $388,878 compared to a budgeted loss of $433,092 for the same reasons. We had to close down, but there were some savings. Before I take questions, I'd like to do some cleanup on our balance sheet. So I'll be addressing the board. So if I turn away, it's not because I'm ignoring you. Yes? Okay. I'm not yelling loud enough? Okay. To the board, I want to make a proposal to clean up a couple of items on the balance sheet. The first is the Robin Hood Park line item, which has depleted funds as of November 2022. Now, this fund was established, as you know, when we sold the land, the community club sold the land to the state of Tennessee for the widening of Peavine Road. The funds have been used for multiple capital projects at Robin Hood Park. I want to make a motion, or I do make a motion to remove this item from the balance sheet.
And I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Okay.
you. The second item is the Marina Reserve. And this fund was established in May of 2021 and has been used for multiple projects at Dartmoor Marina. I make a motion to move the balance of $9,214 to the operating reserve and remove this item from the balance sheet.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you. And for the sheet that you may have, there was a typo on it that we caught finally, so we're getting caught up on the balance sheet for you all. I have one more item to discuss, and I make a motion to move $812,791 from the operating surplus to the operating reserve pending audit review.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay. I'm sure there'll be a couple of questions, and if I can't answer them, Jonathan and Amber can take care of the ones that I don't have right at the tip of my fingers. Please come up.
Ted Landers, one quick question. Under your statement of activities review under sewer, you said that there was $19,045 of savings of utilities. Is that electricity, or what is the savings, and why is, that's kind of a big dollar amount. Where does that come into in 1 month?
Well, That's interesting.
Talk into your mic.
You got to use your mic over
You
there.
got to use your mic.
And thank you.
There are a couple of numbers on that. There was the R&M irrigation equipment, which a difference to budget. Additionally, one of the things that happened, and this has happened to us this year, that insurance premiums, we budgeted the insurance premiums at a rate that we thought were adequate to cover what we expected for the premium increases. Guess what? We were wrong. We got surprised. So some of this stuff got more expensive. We did make some savings by efficiencies and by, like we say, not getting some work done. And that looks fine for overages. But this is the first, the first month of the year. We're going to see a lot of this smooth out as we move along. It's just the first month, so some of those anomalies and some of those variances are going to be smoothed out as we move along.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, resort report, Barb.
Good morning. Wyndham timeshare revenues are as follows. The center generated $12,282, which is 24% of like revenue. The Racket Center, $293, 1%. Dartmoor and St. George are closed, so it's 0%. Golf, $199, 0%. And food, $7,357, which is 8%, for a total of $2,131, which is 9%. As far as Wyndham visitors, month to date, we've had 1,230, and year to date, 2,739. Thank you.
Any questions on the resort report? Okay. Hearing none. ACC. Since Sam is off, Ed, you get to be the guy today.
Good morning. Ed Ward, ACC Chair. Miscellaneous approvals, which are changes to established homes for January of 2024, was 67 compared to last year, 2023, total of 93. New homes approved for January of 2024 were 0, where last year it was 11. Please note that the snow caught us the third week of January, and we were forced to cancel our scheduled meeting. So those applications kind of hung over, and they'll show up in February, I expect. New homes completed for 2024, total of 4. For 2023, that total was 11. As concludes the report, do I have any questions? Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to add on a little bit to your report, Ed. We have the tree policy out for comment, and the comment time is set at March 1st. We're actually considering extending that due to the number of comments that we've gotten. We haven't made that decision for sure yet, but I want everybody to know that there's a very good likelihood that that's going to be extended. So we may or may not be voting on that next month. So just so you know, if it's not on the agenda, that's the reason why, because we extended the comment time for more comments to come in. And there's been a lot of them, so we'll be looking at that as well. Okay? Thanks, Ed. Unfinished business? None. So we'll move into new business. Committee appointments. We've got the election committee. Ken?
I'll move that we approve the individuals that are named for the election committee for 2024.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? The board talked about these yesterday, so we're going to be sending out letters to everybody that is being appointed So those will be going out today, okay? All right, no other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Bruce, you want to take care of, oh, I'm sorry, the Environmental Committee. Yeah, that's me. We have one person that we actually slipped up on. We were supposed to, we thought we voted on this 2 months ago, but we hadn't. So we're now correcting that error and voting this person onto the committee, the Environmental Committee. She has been in attendance for the last 2 or 3 months, but we have not voted on anything, so that's all copacetic in terms of not causing any issues for things that the committee may have passed. So I recommend that the one person that we've named to the Environmental Committee be seated on that committee. I'm sorry? That's what I'm saying. We're sending these letters out today. So what we're trying to do is let the person know before we announce the name here in the public. We had some issues with this in the past, Ted. So what we're trying to do is get the appointments made and then let the people know so they're not hearing about it for the first time in this meeting, okay? So that's why we're doing it.
And Ted, all you have to do is go out and look at the website.
Yeah, the website will have all the names on it.
Their names will all be out there with their contact information.
Mm-hmm. So that'll all be there. Okay? All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Wildwood.
Wildwood,
I
that's
make a
you.
motion that we approve the seating of 9 members to the Wildwood Stables Committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll-
Any conversation? I'm going to put a plug in here. We had 25 people apply. We interviewed 24. One person self-checked out, said they didn't want to be on the committee. And I'll tell you, it's really, really good. The 3 of us that interviewed all these people, Bruce Horn, Sam McAdoo, and myself, it was good to see that we have the quality of people here in Fairfield Glade that know about equestrian things. Because sitting around this table, there's not much of us that we really know about it. So it's good that we've got some people with some real expertise about running these kinds of facilities. Some of them actually started these kinds of facilities. All of them that are going on the committee have used these types of facilities. So we've got a really good group. It was a very hard decision to make because out of the 24 that we interviewed, I would say at least 20 of those had really, really good direct experience in what we're talking about doing down at Wildwood Stables. So it just proves again the amount of knowledge that we have in the community that can help us out with the issues like this. So that's my spiel on that. So any other discussion or questions? And again, all these names will be posted out on the website. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Capital authorization requests. Backload holder.
Good morning. Is it on? I'm presenting a CAR on behalf of Sam McAdoo in the Roads and Bridges Department. Sam was unable to attend the meeting this morning, so he's asked me to fill in. This CAR is for the release of funds for a new four-wheel drive backhoe. Sam is in the process of obtaining quotes for the new backhoe and would like to be able to have the funds released as soon as those quotes are received. And so he's asking that $145,000, not to exceed $145,000, which is the approved budget amount, be approved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I motion that we approve $145,000 for the loader and backhoe.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty.
Thank you.
Bob?
Good morning. I'm requesting the approval of $67,824 for computer equipment. This computer equipment is 5 years old or older. It will include laptops, point of sales, and any peripheral equipment.
I make the motion that we approve $67,824 for IT equipment.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And the second car is for $6,095.79, and that's for the upgrade of the camera equipment for the board meetings and for the workshops.
I make a motion that we approve $6,096 for streaming equipment upgrade.
I second the motion.
This has been an ongoing problem. We've actually had some times when the streaming has stopped, and there's not much we can do about it. This equipment needs to be replaced so that we can have a good sound platform on where we can do the streaming out to the public. So that's the reason why we're taking the action on this, to get that all cleaned up so that we don't have the issues that we've had with it in the past.
And this will be able to have the PowerPoints that are shown on the screen
Right.
actually
Yeah,
streamed
there's a
out to the public.
picture capability in this, so that when we have a PowerPoint presentation, we can actually do the PowerPoint and the person talking about it all in one swoop. So that'll be a good thing as well. Okay? Those of you that have been here understand that when we have a PowerPoint presentation, it's very difficult, because we got people out there that want to see it, we got people on their home computers or TVs that want to see it, and we have people up here that want to see it, and it's difficult, the way the room's arranged, for us to do all of that. So we're still going to be working on some of that. Okay, any other discussion on this car? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, Dave.
So I have a request today for $92,900, and this is for the police department building, and it's primarily related to security. So what we're going to be doing is isolating the building from the lobby, protecting the receptionists, putting film on the windows, installing security cameras, and then we're also going to remove and replace the back sidewalk to make it ADA compliant.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the CAR for $92,900 for the police department security upgrades.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce our executive chef, Dustin Maley. Dustin is going to present the PAR for furniture at Stonehenge. If you haven't had a chance to thank him for his fine menu, please do so while you're here.
All right, so I am presenting a CAR for new outdoor patio furniture at Stonehenge Grill, which will update the look and get uniformity all across. The budget for that's $27,785.
Can I make a motion to approve the $27,785 for the Stonehenge furniture?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thank you, Dustin. Bruce, 2023 reserve carry forward. I think that's what you just voted on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Sorry,
No, that's all right.
I jumped the gun.
Comments from the floor? Come on up.
Oops. Nico Sergio, a community club member since April of 2005. I'm talking about Wildwood Stables. For those of you that don't know, my understanding is we've had a lease agreement with John Cannon for approximately 15 years. So I'm asking the board to approach John Cannon, the 25 applicants and other volunteers to organize an open house or a tour, whatever you want to call it, of Wildwood Stables for Memorial Day weekend. I'm here to go on record that I will contribute $200 for the rental of hay wagons for a tour of the community club grounds. The community club owns the grounds and some of the buildings. I'm not sure what John Cannon owns. I'm asking the board to check with Bruce Evans and Sam McAdoo for the use of a four-wheel drive pickup trucks to pull the hay wagons for a tour of the grounds. There's 300 acres out there. I have never been at Wildwood Stables, so I don't know what's there. I've never been in the barns, or I've never checked out what it costs to ride a horse or anything like that. I also suggest that we solicit additional sponsors to fund more hay wagons and refreshments. We should consider maybe a bus service. I'm not sure. There is plenty of land there, but I'm not sure how adequate it is for a couple hundred cars to come out there. I feel that the community club members would benefit and gain an understanding of the value that Wildwood Stables makes for this community. Any questions or comments?
Nico, does Conrad not do tours of Wildwood Stables?
I have no idea. Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other comments?
I just want to take and thank the board. Yesterday was, and the issue regarding the sewer extension, obviously it was very emotional to those folks in the audience, and I want to applaud the board for how it was handled in terms of letting at least the individuals speak, giving their time to it. At the same time, various board members were able to take and kind of, when the residents had their say, so to speak, rein it in and bring it down to focus on the questions they answered and so forth. I just think it was handled very well, and I compliment the board for doing that. It also struck me in the audience in listening to that whole conversation that I can't help but wonder, and I'd make a suggestion to the board to think about, that perhaps there's some sort of what I would call, you know, an ombudsman or a liaison member of the board, so a duty assigned to a member of the board. And I'll give you an example. So it wouldn't be permanent, could be a rotating every 3 months. So as an example, if Ellen was assigned to being that person for the 3 months, any issues that came up related to where there was a group of people, that perhaps that group would have that person to go to. That person, say, you know, my example, Ellen in this case, would organize who needed to be present at a meeting with those folks. Could be the general manager, it could have been in yesterday's case, Bruce, where they could sit down and hear the initial concerns and be able to help formulate their questions, get some preliminary answers right away as it relates to things like the CNRs and the bylaws and so forth, that you end up going through in the meeting, but the emotions are already high. This could be kind of, you know, talked about and so forth. And then the next piece of this is some coaching going on as to how they can approach the board in terms of what may, you know, a list of questions, which I thought was great, that they had put them ahead, but there were many duplicates and so forth. So coaching him on that, coaching him in terms of how the process works or may work and so forth, could really be helpful and bridge the gap, and I think hopefully eliminate some of the frustrations that built up as this kind of went along. So, thank you.
Just so everyone understands, because if you weren't at the workshop yesterday, you may not know what we're talking about. So there was a proposal to, or we had made a vote in January to conduct a study for an extension of the sewer. There were several residents that were going to be affected by that came forward and wanted to discuss that project, and that's what that was about yesterday. I will say that those residents were, at least anyway, offered to have a special meeting with the board on that, and they chose to come to the more public meeting yesterday. So there were some things that we did try to do, and overall, I think that, you know, everyone had a chance to have their say, and I think that was good. So so that's what, when Tom's referring to that, that's what we're talking about. The board is taking everything under consideration. We're getting our information together. There's some things that we need to check into, and we'll get back when we get all of that done, but it's not going to be necessarily a day or two. It's going to take some time for us to get all the information together that we need. Okay? I'm sorry, go on ahead.
Mike Bond. I live in Fairfield North over in Chestnut Ridge, and the proposed updated tree policy is something that we would like to comment on. The article in the Glade Sun, February 7th, I believe, we responded with a letter to the editor, and that should come out today. Have a handout, extra copies if anyone's interested in that. But I think the question to the board is regarding process. It sounds like there might be a tentative decision to postpone the decision on the policy, and what if there might be a forum for public comment on that outside the consideration of the board, just to approve or not approve the policy.
Okay. Well, what I can tell you is that we've gotten a number of comments, and as you can probably expect, many of the comments are conflicting. There's everyone from, you know, everything, you know, that's being done. I don't want one tree down, or clear the doggone trees and let me build my home, and everything in between. So it's a complex question. I encourage people to read the policy on the website, make your comments. There's a form that you can do it on right there. And we're going to be looking at all the comments that we have and deciding what to do about either extending or what we might do in terms of other things to do that. But at this point, we're still getting comments in, and that is going till March 1st for sure. So we'll have something out before then about what we're going to do, whether we're going to extend it or not. Okay?
And is there any timing on when that decision might be made as to a deadline?
We haven't really talked about that, other than the fact that we're considering extending the comments.
Could there be an opportunity for public comment?
Well, that's what we're going through right now.
I mean, here, in
Well,
this kind of a forum?
We want to get all the comments in first, and we'll see where we are. I mean, we typically do this with all, not typically, we do it with all of our policies that we post. So we want public to comment. We'll see where we are, and then we'll determine the best forum for that to happen, whether that's in, we're going to have to talk about it in one of these meetings anyway.
Thank you. Okay.
Because we have to vote on it, and before we can vote, we have to have that conversation. So there'll be, at a minimum, a workshop meeting and the board meeting where this will be brought up before the vote's taken.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think there's a number of the residents in our neighborhood that very much oppose the policy. So I think it would be helpful, a good idea, to let that expression take place in one of those forums. So appreciate you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning. Kevin McGlynn, Pine Ridge Court. Ken, I want to address what you had asked about Conrad Tours. I'm on the Conrad Tour team as a host, also looking at new tours, and I've done 2 tours. That's my tour area is Wildwood Stables. We did 2 last year, and had up to 40 people, and they were excellently attended, and Wildwood did a great job. So I'd be more than happy to schedule 1 or 2 more this year. I know that John had it up on the market. I'm not sure where he's at right now with selling it, but he was extremely cordial and did a great job. So if that can help the board, and Nico, thank you for bringing that up. We had 40 the first time. The second tour, we ended up with, I believe, 32. 8 people didn't show up. So that kind of, and we didn't have any on the waiting list, so that kind of told me that we didn't need to schedule another one quite this soon, but I'd be happy to schedule another one to accommodate that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments from the floor?
My name is Ted Landers. As you've already heard, there's a lot of discussion about the tree policy. I was on the ACC subcommittee for the tree policy, and we identified, the subcommittee that is, identified some significant areas that needed improvement. The previous policy was horribly written. We've cleaned up the language in that, but some of the things we felt were important to change did not get approved by the ACC and Sam McAdoo. And so I'm working to try and close some loopholes that the builders are exploiting. So I have been collecting signatures, and I have 250 signatures to this point, and I've only been collecting for 11 days. And there are basically 7 things that we want to see incorporated into this policy that are not. The most important is, and the 2 most important is to prevent the builders from clear cutting the front of the lot, but they must maintain mature trees in each of the zones on the property. Right now, they're going to the front, and they're just kind of clear cutting back until they get to the back, and it's changing the very character of our association. And the second thing is, we want to put in a tree protection zone. A tree protection zone is really nothing more than a black silt fence that is offset from the trees in order to protect the root balls, so that they are not putting construction equipment, they're not dumping stone on it, they're not running heavy equipment over it, killing those root balls, which then in 2 or 3 years those trees die. Because they're going right along, in almost every case, right along the lot lines, they are disturbing the trees on the adjacent property, and those trees are dying, and as a result of that, the cost for removing those trees is not on the person who caused the damage, which was the builder or that homeowner, but it's on the adjacent property owner. We don't think that's correct. So the PCA study that came out, which was the strategic member planning thing, there were 22 options. The #1 reason that people chose to move here was financial stability. That makes all the sense in the world to me that that would be a great reason to choose here. The #2 reason was natural beauty / wilderness areas. So if that's the #2 choice out of 22, that's a really strong indication we need to protect our natural environment. And if you read the purpose statement at the top of the tree policy, it states that trees between properties are very important, and I'm not going to list it. It's the only policy that has a purpose statement, and it's very clear about the need for it. So I suggest that everybody read that purpose statement and then go back and look at the PCA results. It's on page 13 and 14 of the PCA report, which is on the website. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. We'll now get into board member comments. Any comments? I do have one. We started this yesterday, and we're going to continue it on today. When we have been asked questions at the board level, either in the workshop or here, and we haven't had answers. We're trying to track those questions now, so at the next board meeting, the appropriate one, or the question was asked, we will try to give you the answer the next month, or tell you why we can't and what we're doing about it. So we had 2 questions that came up in the board meeting last month, in the January board meeting, that we'll talk about a little bit here. The first one was one about the Wyndham report and whether or not that was incorrect. The revenue line went from 18,000 to 168,000. Bruce?
Yeah, that it was a, it had inadvertently been left off the new reports. It was there in 2022, and it just was missed. It was I won't say a typo. It was just a missed opportunity to communicate the correct number. That'll be in all of the reports going forward.
Okay. And then there was a second question that was asked about, there's a timeline that's down at St. George's that evidently can be handed out and people can see about kind of the history of the area. And the question was whether or not we could put that timeline on the Fairfield Glade Community Club site. So Amber, do you have an answer?
Can we put it on the site? We should be able to put that timeline on the site. Should be easy enough to do.
Okay? All right, so those are the only two questions that I had that we're tracking from last month's board meeting. So, is there any other business to come before the board today? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all for coming.